big's the back of the one for here?
Well, we could do it. But it was quick, it's like 45 minutes. So the, and it's probably not.
Okay, that's just
First. I had somebody come up. Husband, they father died, and Bill went to the parents' couple, so it's supposed to sacrifice a lot. He's the father. Something she never got affected, never got filed, and they're like, well, vote on it. She never got affected. So, you have to go legal.
Oh, yeah, I'm just reading it down.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of the team. We have more, so you go in the chair.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Good evening. This meeting is in compliance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act. Notice of this meeting was published in the Asbury Park Press on November 12, 2023, and the Star Ledger on November 14, 2023, and filed with the office of the Toms River Township Municipal Clerk. In accordance with board policy, this meeting will commence with consideration of administrative matters that do not require a public hearing and to caucus on applications which have concluded their respective public hearings. During this portion of the meeting, members of the public may listen to the discussion, but may not participate unless permitted by the board chairperson. The board will then proceed to hear matters scheduled for public hearing. During these hearings, members of the public or their attorneys may, as permitted by the chairperson, ask questions of the applicant and any witnesses produced by the applicant. Following the presentation of all evidence, members of the public will be invited to make statements regarding the merits of the application. Please note that if you choose to make a statement or produce any evidence in support of or opposition to any matter, you will be placed under oath and may be subject to cross-examination by the board, the applicant, the objectors, or their respective attorneys. Please note that following the public hearing and prior to adjournment of tonight's meeting, you will have the opportunity to address the board on any matter during the public comment portion of the meeting. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Daniel Roderick. Peter Pascarella.
President Lynn O'Toole.
Here.
Ron Heinsman.
Present.
Brian Bockel.
Present.
Paul D. Gregorio.
Here.
James Bradley.
Here.
Paul Brenhart.
Here.
Darcy Senator is not here. Bob Rowe.
Here.
Angelo Lozano.
Here.
Being 4 members present, we have a quorum.
We have purchase orders to approve for payment. Escrow bill from our board professionals, Little Associates, Boardman, Engineers, Rothman, Liddell, Strome, ARH Associates, Remington, and Verdict Board Engineers.
Motion approved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our next is general fund billing for professionals. Rothstein, Madden, Strome, Board Attorney, Lyndon Sullivan Hill, Board Court Reporter.
Motion approved. Second.
Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
We have some resolutions to approve. The first one is minor site plan approved at the November 6, 2024 meeting, St. Joseph Cemetery Mausoleum, Block 608, Lot 32 and 48.
Motion approved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch you. I didn't catch you did first.
What did they, sorry?
Second by Ron.
Yes.
Mr. Bockel.
Yes.
Mr. Heinzen.
Yes.
Mr. Pascarella.
Yes.
Ms. O'Toole.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Brenhart.
Yes.
Mr. Nazardo.
Yes.
7 votes to adopt the resolution.
Minor self-plan with variances approved at the November 6, 2024 meeting, N.J.S.A and Hickory Street LLC, Block 164 and 164.01, Lot 7.01 and 7.02.
Motion approved. Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Bockel.
Yes.
Mr. Heinzen.
Yes.
Mr. Pascarella.
Yes.
Ms. O'Toole.
Yes.
Mr. Bracken.
Yes.
Mr. Brenhart.
Yes.
Mr. Rowe.
Yes.
Mr. Nazardo.
Yes.
8 votes to adopt the resolution.
Amendment preliminary and final major site plan with variance approved at the November 6, 2024 meeting, Jack's Realty Partner LLC, Block 164.01, Lot 9.01.
Motion.
Second.
Ms. O'Toole.
Yes.
Mr. Heinzen.
Yes.
Mr. Pascarella.
Yes.
Mr. Bockel.
Yes.
Mr. Bracken.
Yes.
Mr. Brenhart.
Yes.
Mr. Rowe.
Yes.
Mr. Nazardo.
Yes.
8 votes to adopt the resolution.
Preliminary and final major site plan with variances approved at the November 6, 2024 meeting, Islamic Center of Ocean County, Block 128, Lot 1.
Motion to approve. Second.
Mr. Heinzen.
Yes.
Mr. Bockel.
Yes.
Mr. Pascarella.
Yes.
Ms. O'Toole.
Yes.
Mr. Bracken.
Yes.
Mr. Brenhart.
Yes.
Mr. Rowe.
Yes.
Mr. Nazardo.
Yes.
8 votes to adopt the resolution.
Resolution of denial, preliminary and final major site plan denied at the November 12, 2024 meeting, Waterfront Development Partners, Block 658, Lot 47 and 58.
Eligible to vote on this motion, on this resolution is Mr. Roderick, Mr. Pascarella, Ms. O'Toole, Mr. Bracken, Mr. Bernhardt.
Would this be
And
another
Mr.
motion to
Nazardo.
deny
This is the resolution, adopting the resolution to
or
deny.
voting to adopt the resolution and deny?
Right.
So I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Roderick,
Yes.
Mr. Pascarella.
Yes.
Ms. O'Toole,
Yes.
Mr. Bracken,
Yes.
Mr. Bernhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Nazardo.
Yes.
Resolutions adopted, 6 votes, 6 votes. 6 votes, sorry, couldn't get that out.
We have a recommendation to the Town Council. Ordinance of the Town Council repealing all ordinances previously adopted by the Township which have adopted and amended the Downtown Core Development Plan, the Robbins Parkway Development Plan, and the Waterfront Development Plan in accordance with local development housing law. Christina, I believe you have the floor.
Yeah, so as the chairman said, the council has introduced this ordinance to repeal previously adopted and amended downtown core redevelopment plan, the Robbins Parkway redevelopment plan, and the Waterfront redevelopment plan. For clarification, this is really two documents. Redevelopment plan for downtown core rehabilitation area, which was initially adopted February 26, 2019, and amended September 24th, 2019, and again December 14th, 2021, which then added the Robbins Parkway redevelopment area to the downtown core plan. Redevelopment plan for phase 1 downtown waterfront redevelopment area adopted December 26, 2017, amended July 13th, 2021, and again on December 14th, 2021. For the proposed ordinance, the township will reconfirm the zoning that existed prior to the redevelopment plans and ordinances that are proposed to be repealed. This means that the village office zone, VO, village business zone, VB, village office business zone, VOB, and village seaport zone, VS, will be the effective zoning for the areas currently under the jurisdiction of previously mentioned redevelopment plans. Typically, when I'm doing these presentations, the town is proposing to amend the redevelopment plan to help effectuate the desired development in that area. This can be due to a number of factors, which may include changes in circumstance, identifying inadequacies of an existing plan, or simply a change in policy direction. However, repealing a redevelopment plan and reverting to the prior zoning is not without precedent. The same decision was made in Summit last year to repeal their Broad Street West redevelopment plan and reinstitute previous zoning there. Anytime there is a change in zoning, the planning board must determine if the proposed changes are consistent with the master plan. So, I've reviewed master plan documents. There are a number of plan elements that have been adopted by the township between 2017 and 2019, all prior to the adoption of those redevelopment plans. The land use element being adopted April 19, 2017, again, prior to the initial adoption of any of the redevelopment plans. The land use element identifies the historic downtown Toms River as a strong civic center for the town and county with mostly commercial uses and sparse residential uses. The master plan recommends that the uses be more diverse in the downtown core, which is the stretch of Main Street between Route 37 and Lean Street, to include restaurants, taverns, brew pubs, entertainment venues, bed and breakfast inns, and art galleries. We recommended the creation of the VOB zone to serve as a transition area, and that the regulations include residential office, mixed-use buildings, and other new uses previously listed, as well as nanobreweries. All of these recommended changes from the master plan have been implemented within that zoning. It also recommends more restrictive controls on building height and size within the VO zones, which were implemented with this area having a maximum building height of 35 feet. The 2017 land use element also incorporated the downtown Toms River master plan by reference. It encourages the adoption of development standards within the West Water Street area, what is effectively under the phase 1 downtown waterfront redevelopment area. And I quote, it emphasizes a neo-traditional design consistent with the transit-oriented development approach. This way, the new development can be better blended into downtown rather than stand apart as is usually the case. These standards would emphasize zero lot line development, 2- and 3-story buildings with housing or offices upstairs, front orientation to a sidewalk, pedestrian amenities, minimal curb cuts on the street, rear parking, shared parking, etc. This area is proposed to be reverted to the VB zone. Under the redevelopment plan, there's a minimum building height of 45 feet and a maximum of 100 feet, which far exceeds the recommendations of the master plan. By reverting to the VB zone and bringing it closer to the master plan with maximum heights of 50 feet, an available bonus for ground floor non-office commercial, they would be allowed up to 55 feet. It also includes a step back requirement for 4th and 5th floors. This has the effect of reducing the maximum allowed for it to blend in with the existing downtown development rather than stand out. Blackstone is the village seaport, which the master plan recommended Additional uses that promote cultural and heritage tourism, specifically mentions art galleries and brew pubs, which are also now included in the zone. So if we go back to goals and objectives of the master plan, particularly as it relates to downtown Toms River, we find that instituting the previous zoning for these areas is consistent. Under land use, goal number 2, develop historic downtown Toms River as a regional center for Ocean County. Number 5, encourage controlled and properly designed commercial and industrial development in areas so designated on the master plan. 8, promote the drafting of new development regulation ordinances to be entirely compatible with this master plan. 18, continue strategic implementation of the downtown master plan and proposed zoning amendments as part of this master plan. 19, it also references opportunities should be created for provision of affordable housing for those working in the workforce to the extent feasible. There should be small in scale and designed to provide 100% of the units within the affordable range. Such opportunities should be consistent with availability of employment and transit resources, such as through the redevelopment of underutilized sites in the Waterfront redevelopment area. Within the economic development goals, we have number 3, capitalize on Toms River's location and designation as the county seat to become a regional center. Encourage mixed-use development within the downtown, which these ordinances do, along with cultural and entertainment uses in order to attract young professionals for walkable and diverse environments. Also references the emerging uses such as nano breweries, art galleries, brew pubs, and similar uses that attract visitors, make downtown living more appealing, should be encouraged. And 4, using historic and cultural assets of downtown Toms River to cultivate cultural and heritage tourism, including the removal of regulatory obstacles to uses such as restaurants, entertainment, and cultural venues, lodging, and more related activities, while enhancing and promoting the seaport and Revolutionary War history of downtown. So after reviewing those documents, the underlying zoning, returning to it, is consistent with master plan. Master plan was written in 2017. All those changes recommended within master plan were adopted with the zoning ordinance. I guess at this point, if there are any questions regarding this, answer.
Any questions from the public? Please come forward, be sworn in.
Yeah.
Paul Williams, Broad Street.
Sir,
Please be sworn in.
do you swear the testimony about the truth will be the
Yes, I did.
Spell your last name.
Williams. One of the questions I have is that I could barely understand most of what Ms. Winter had said. Now, there's a whole lot of information that I just heard for something that's very, very important in this particular area. And so my question is the document that you appear to have just read from, is that something that the public can get a copy of before this board votes on this? So we, as members of the public, can kind of try to digest it and have a better understanding? Because I'll tell you candidly, I don't support many of the things that our current mayor is doing. But I did hear a couple of things, I thought I did at least, that made me not as anxious about this proposal. And I would like an opportunity, and I think a lot of members of the public, I already got 3 different people send me text messages. 1, not being able to hear and understand what's being said. And 2, was with regard to what some of these implications might be. And I know that there was one reference, it was about how repealing the redevelopment plan was not unprecedented. A reference to something in Summit, but I have a question. Was there something in place when they repealed that? Because that's a precedent that I would like to know about, and I don't know that. And I don't know if you have an answer to that. But my point is, going back to my original question, was, is that a document that the public can see before this board votes on this matter?
No, that's not, that's Ms. Winter's work product, and it hasn't been submitted to the board for consideration. This is what this hearing is about, so.
Right, and so now, correct me if I'm wrong, this board is about to vote on something. I'm assuming that you all heard this for the first time, just like the rest of us. I'm assuming that. I don't know. That is a question.
Again,
Yes.
that's what this is supposed to be, a
Right,
review
and
by.
that's where there's a concern. And that's why I video record these, so I give the public an opportunity to see what goes on with our local government, that for whatever reason, doesn't live stream these, don't videotape it. And the public is unaware of what is going on. And this proposal is serious, it's huge. And if there's not something that's in place, when you repeal, excuse me, I see it, Peter, over there. When you repeal this without something adequately in place for it, it opens the door to potential disaster, which is what myself and I know many members of the public are concerned with. So that's my.
I just want to add that this is what the procedures are in accordance with statute, it's 48-12A6. This is how this is supposed to occur, and that the planner reviews, and there is no procedure for any submission of any written material prior to this hearing, so this is how this is set up by the law. I just want you to know that, and everybody know that.
Right, and I was generally familiar with that, so it was almost a rhetorical question. I wanted someone to reaffirm that what I thought was correct, and you did. But it then brings me to the concern that I have with this board being in a position to decide this today versus perhaps tabling it and allowing the public to digest what's going on more adequately, because just plain reading of the recommendation does not provide us with anywhere near as much information as appeared to have been relayed by Ms. Winter.
Board Chair, may I be recognized?
Yes, Peter.
This is just as any application that comes before the board. We don't have days in advance to review it or days after to review it before we vote. We hear the testimony and we consider the application, and we either vote to approve it or deny it.
Or you could table it and allow for more public input and maybe some discussions and things like that. Correct? That is a possibility, correct?
You know, once the testimony is concluded and the public's had an opportunity to cross-examine the experts, we have to consider the application.
Wait, so is that absolutely correct, that this board cannot make a motion to table it for further discussion, for further input from the public, after I'm able to put this video out so the public can see what was said before this board makes a decision about something that could potentially devastate the downtown area? Is that actually correct, or did Mr. Peter Pasquarello just say what he thought was the company line he needs to tell?
We'll have the attorney.
I don't know whether Peter wants to respond or not, but the process, as you are aware, is statutory. And if the board wanted to continue to hear testimony, yes, they could decide to continue and carry it to another meeting. It's not against procedure, but that's their determination. If they decide that they've heard enough today, they can go today.
So he was incorrect, correct?
I don't know that he was incorrect. He had indicated, as far as planning board applications go, you know that there are time constraints on those, that to not vote on something could have devastating effects in a way that the planning board wouldn't want to have. And I think that's what he was referring to.
I was also wondering if I could just answer one of his questions. There's a court reporter here, so whatever was read into the record, you can get via Oprah. So everything that she said has been documented by the court reporter. So as far as Oprah,
At no cost? Is that at no cost to the public? Or does it cost several?
I believe so, but does it cost one?
Well, it depends on what he's asking for. I'm not going to make a speculation.
We'll release it for free if you want it there. I'll pay for it for you.
That's not a binding contract, sir, so I'm not gonna hold you to that, because I'm.
The minutes are certainly operable.
I'm not interested in the minutes, I'm interested in the statements, which I am video recording.
Well, then you have it.
Yeah,
Everything that she said.
but if you vote on this tonight, the rest of the public isn't gonna be aware of it, because I can tell you, and I'm not one that puts themselves out as representing everybody, but I do have a pulse on some things, and I do speak with a lot of people, particularly in the downtown area. And I know that people are concerned, and there's frankly a lot of people that aren't here because their hands are just going up. They said, listen, there's nothing that they're gonna say that's gonna be able to make a difference. But they did not have an opportunity to hear the comments from Ms. Winter. And if they did, and candidly, as I thought I was gesturing for, there were some things that I thought I heard, and I'm not sure. I will try to digest it later. I might be inclined to actually support this. But I would like an opportunity to digest it, and I think that a lot of people in the public, particularly in the downtown area, and actually all throughout Tom's River, because the downtown area has grown to be quite a destination area, there are people in the general public who would like to come in and be able to enlighten you with some of our personal experiences or our perspectives about what you are proposed to vote on.
Paul, just so you understand, this has to go before the council again, and this board does not actually repeal the downtown redevelopment plan. All this board is going to do is decide whether or not Ms. Winters is correct in that it is consistent to repeal with the downtown redevelopment plan. We're not making any kind of binding decision here. This is just whether the board agrees with Ms. Winters or not. That's all it is. Whether the board agrees with Ms. Winters' assessment, which is something that even frankly, if her determination were different, would still not be binding on the council at all. They would still have the ability to repeal the downtown redevelopment plan, even if it were inconsistent. So Ms. Winters has determined that it is consistent. The board will make a determination as to whether or not they support Ms. Winters' view, and then it would go back to the council. And as far as the potential for resident outrage regarding that, I'm sure you were at the last
Or support.
I'm sure you were at the last council meeting, and there were folks, but I'm not so sure there were a whole lot of folks that were upset that came. I don't really quite remember. You can always go back to the tape, but there'll be another meeting for folks to come out where the actions will be binding, and they'll have an opportunity to speak at that meeting as well.
And just to be real brief now, I'm done. The concern I have is that unless all of your ears and mental capacities are much better than mine, and also for the sake of argument that they are, but they would need to be in order to have the ability to fully digest what what Ms. Winters just lectured to us. There was a lot of information. It wasn't 2 or 3 sentences. There's a lot of information, and this board is in a position where you're either going to have to agree or disagree with her statements that lead to her ultimate conclusion. And that's a concern for me. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else please come up? State your name and be sworn in.
Melissa Fernandez? Do you swear the testimony that's the truth?
Yes,
Your name again?
Melissa Fernandez,
Spell it, please.
FERNANDZ. Good evening, members of the planning board. My name is Melissa Fernandez. I'm the newly appointed executive director of the Township Business Development Corporation. I'm here tonight on behalf of our board of directors, district businesses, to strongly advocate for the continuation of the redevelopment plan for downtown Township. Over 40% of our property owners in the district, in both the waterfront and downtown core, have objected to this repeal. And I ask you, what is the reasoning behind it? Repealing this plan would halt the significant progress we've made and risk undermining future growth in several ways. Economic stability. Small businesses rely on the predictability and structure the redevelopment plan provides. A repeal would create uncertainty, driving away potential new businesses. Long-term vision. Downtown Tom's River has its challenges, from aging infrastructure to underdeveloped properties. The redevelopment plan is the framework to address these systematically. The redevelopment plan is a partnership between the community, local government, and businesses. We cannot abandon this project, this collective effort, now when the momentum is on our side. I urge the planning board to do its due diligence and reaffirm its commitment to our shared future and keep the redevelopment plan intact. In closing, I just ask you to reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you. I saw someone else. Please come up.
Sir,
Please be sworn in
sir,
for the
raise
record.
your right hand, please. Raise your right hand, please.
Oh.
Do you swear the testimony about to be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And would you state your name for the record,
It's
please?
Bob Watson. B.O.B. Watson.
W-A-T-S-O-N. Here.
Before I say anything, I want you to know that I didn't understand a word that you were saying, sitting back there. And that's the problem with the, whatever we call this. Nonetheless, I have two questions. If the plan is repealed, will all of the zoning laws revert back to what they were prior to the plan being put in place?
Yes.
Getting out from my friend over there.
Plan for that as well.
I hope that's the case, but the reason I ask is because the previous administration had accidentally, inadvertently, or whatever, had changed zoning laws so that public schools of any type could be built in the town.
Private school.
And it took an analysis and a complaint, frankly by me, supported by the mayor, to have the board at that time overrule what they were going to push through. So, the second question is, I'd like, not question, statement, I guess, I'd like to be reassured that in whatever you're doing, I'll not have to wake up wondering whether or not a school of any type, educational, not arts and crafts, is going to now all of a sudden be allowed in the town. And do you have an answer? And if you don't, then will you please investigate?
May I, Chair? Oh,
Yes,
I-
please.
I'd ask, just for Ms. Winters, and you can always double check, but it is my understanding, my belief, that schools were not in permitted use of the village business district initially, or am I incorrect?
They were not approved initially, and then when the plan first was brought up by the previous administration, they conveniently left that restriction out.
This is just my understanding. I don't have it in front of me. We could obviously look at it.
I think it changed.
There was a change to the redevelopment plan while I was on council.
Yes.
But it's my understanding in the underlying, but I guess we would have to double check. But it's my understanding that the underlying zoning was like that as well, where it was not permitted use, but I could be incorrect, but I'm always open to readdressing that.
Yeah, please, just, what are we gonna do if a school bus is running through this place? Not gonna happen.
I can speak to that.
Yes.
Those four zones I pointed out, the VO, the VB, the VOB, and the VS zones, that would be the zoning that would be gone back to. They're on our E-code. The content of those ordinances is available. Looking through the permitted uses, I do not see schools as a permitted use in any of those zones. Child care centers are, but I don't see schools, adult care centers, but not a typical
The
K
schools,
through 12 school or higher for that.
the schools wouldn't be authorized at this.
No. So under this zoning, as it is right now, and if the council does act favorably on this ordinance, it would not be permitted in this
Right,
zone.
and it hasn't changed, as we've discussed.
I do believe when you, actually it was yourself who
Yeah,
pointed this out to me, I don't know, it's gotta be at least 2-3 years ago, right? You initially found all that in the redevelopment plan. And I do believe that, when a lot of hay was made of it, that we repealed it. However, the entire plan, should the council, vote to repeal,
it should all go back.
it should all go back to the original VB.
Yes.
And what is contained there and can be found on E-code is my belief that it's not permitted use, but you can double check me on your phone when we sit back there, you should be able to find that.
I will.
Tom's over E-code and then just search DB, right, or village business.
Yeah. Village business.
This,
Any of the
village
Good
business.
luck on trying to get this speaker system set up.
Thank you.
Try and speak loud.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just
No, it's not a question of law, it's just
add a
plan.
little bit of information to that.
Sorry.
I just asked the chairman to be recognized to just add a little bit of information to that last exchange.
back in 2021, when that discussion about private schools and the Phase 1 Waterfront redevelopment plan was first brought up, our planner at the time, David Roberts, had addressed that comment, and the term private schools was put into the plan so that the Music Academy and the Downtown Dance Academy could continue to operate. That being said, language has a very, clear and, language means something. So I don't know if, putting that in there at the time would have opened up the door to what Mr. Watson was saying. But he is correct in the fact that in 2021, later on, that the term private school was removed from the redevelopment plan because there was enough supporting language in the plan to allow the dance center and the music academy to continue to operate. But Mr. Roberts at the time, it was never the intention to allow, K through 12 schools, to operate in the downtown. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you swear the testimony about to be full truth, and truth?
Yes.
State your name for the record, spell your last name, please.
Irene Watson, W-A-T-S-O-N.
Thank you.
Right. First of all, will Ms. Winter's assessment be available to read if we come down, Pam? Will we be able to read?
As council said earlier, no.
Yeah, this is her work product, and what will result from that is, again, and the mayor had put it succinctly, this job is whether what she has indicated to the board says that the repeal is consistent or inconsistent with the master plan. There will be an action that will need to be taken by this board, whether to recommend to go with the repeal or not, and that will be a resolution that will be available that will incorporate what was said by Ms. Winter.
Right, can I make a statement about the issue? Shame on the residents of Toms River who were concerned about the town's appearance for not attending meetings back in 2017 through 2021, when the 3 development plans were drawn up and presented. If you didn't attend these meetings, you didn't know what was going on. There was no mention in the Observer till the Towers article in August 2021. No mention about redevelopment plans in the Toms River Current, Mayor Hill's fall 2022 publication. Again, people met in mass, didn't start paying attention to these plans until the Observer's articles about the towers. Then a group got together and special meetings were held in a last-ditch effort to stop the towers. There was some success when Mayor Hill showed the new tower plans with 6 floors during his debate. But it soon became obvious that with every new build, there would be a new losing battle to maintain the look of the village of Toms River. The state of New Jersey is concerned with historic preservation. The Toms River Historic Preservation Committee brought forward a program, Go Fresh, as a potential guide for towns that wanted to maintain an historical look. This approach has been used in San Antonio, Providence, Rhode Island, Tampa, Florida. FRESH is an acronym, and I hope you would consider these items when you develop your new plan. F is for footprint. Footprints of new buildings should have similar footprints to existing buildings. R is for roofs. Roofs should match existing roofs. E is for envelope. That is bulk, the ratio of the height to the width of the building. S is for skin. Exterior should be similar to existing buildings. H is for holes. That is, doors and windows should be similar to existing doors and windows. Please consider these things when you are developing your new plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to please come up?
Terry, just want to make a quick comment. The village business zone actually does allow for schools for vocational instruction.
Thank you.
So that would be like, learning how to cut hair or, and the other thing is there were plans at one point in time to put an offshoot of Ocean County vocational school for marine mechanics at the site of the boat works. So that may explain why.
At the site, I'm sorry.
Boat works.
Okay, sorry.
There was a plan that works for that at one point in time, which might explain why vocational schools are permitted, but we can always address that.
Dana Tormolen. Real quick question regarding what Mr. Williams and Mr. Watson have both asked. First of all, that was very difficult to understand. I appreciate your due diligence in that, but it was very difficult to understand. My question is though that at the last council meeting, this item came off the agenda just before the meeting started. And now here we are 3 weeks later, and it's on the planning board agenda. Why could there not have been more time in between to address what was taken off the council's agenda, but onto this one, and now being put back in front of the council to approve again? And yes, there were plenty of people there who objected to this whole idea because they didn't know what was going on. So my question then becomes, why do we have to push this through tonight as opposed to waiting until maybe the new year, giving residents a chance to look at the plans, giving them a chance to read your proposal and your information? And why are we here now talking about this when we could have another month? Something that you can share about?
Oh, I was just commenting, is all right, Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
I was just commenting to Peter how I remember when the apartments were proposed, how you vehemently.
I didn't want a 10-story building.
I'm sorry,
I'm going to cut you off right there. I didn't want a 10-story building. I am not against redevelopment in downtown. Obviously, the bid has
Oh,
done.
no, you just asked me what we were saying, so I just shared what I
But
was
you're
saying. I
gonna go
didn't really want to engage you in that.
Excuse me.
Anyway, one at a time.
Please,
My
one at a
question
time.
is, why can we not push this off till after the new year so the residents have a chance to read what was written?
Well,
And then come back, I'm still speaking, and then come back and ask legitimate questions as to this new proposal, or going back to the old redevelopment plan or whatever. It just seems that it's being pushed through very quickly right now, when that's a lot of information to take.
Can I just say one thing?
can you explain to her what the timelines are
That's-
regarding ordinances?
Well, not only with ordinances, but from the standpoint of when this was made, that referral to the planning board and the redevelopment law, there are timeframes as far as 45 days passed for objector or property owner, because there is notice, there's publication in the newspaper, and there's also to the adjoining landowners, there's notice given that this is coming before the planning board for review, that if there isn't action taken in some form within 45 days, certain things can occur as far as default, and that someone can lose their opportunity to object. So once this was passed by the council, there needed to be a hearing here.
But it wasn't passed by the council.
The introduction I'm talking about.
They took it off that agenda.
There was an introduction of ordinance I'm talking about.
And if it goes beyond the 45-day deadline, then the planning board loses its ability to give the recommendation.
Correct. That's
So we couldn't then come back January, whatever, and like add that back into your meeting.
No.
And and what the mayor's alluding to as well is from the council standpoint, any ordinance, and whether they want to do this or not, but an ordinance that's introduced in 2024 has to have its public hearing and second hearing in 2024. That could not carry over to January because of the wording.
Thank you for the legitimate question. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Please come up. Seeing none?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the recommendation of Ms. Winters. That this isn't, that repealing is consistent with the master plan.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Roderick?
Yes.
Mr. Pascarella?
Yes.
Ms. O'Toole?
Yes.
Mr. Heisman?
Abstain.
Mr. Di Gregorio?
Prior to tonight's meeting, I just went over a couple of the elements of the master plan, including the economic element, land use element, the housing fair share element, and also the goals and objectives of the master plan. And all of those elements of the master plan, they make reference to the need for a redevelopment plan for downtown Toms River. I believe the current conditions that exist today in downtown, they're the same conditions that existed in 2017 when this master plan was written. So just by that fact, you would think that it still is applicable and consistent. So for all those reasons, and just, the fact that it's not consistent with the master plan, just take a look for yourself out the window. The area south of Water Street, parking lots. We have New Jersey Natural Gas Remediation Site, JCP&L, the bus depot. It's a downtown. It should be the node, the regional center, the county seat. It has potential here. We always make mention about Red Bank and Long Branch and how spectacular those places are. And I see it myself, people my age, a lot of people I know, they go to other places to frequent and spend their time and their money when they have a great downtown that can really be something spectacular right here, and they don't have to go and travel all that way, and they could be supporting our downtown businesses while they're at it too. So I would have to vote no on that.
Mr. Bragg?
Yes.
Mr. Bernard?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Hey.
Mr. Nazardo?
Yes.
Recommendation for the ordinance?
I just want to make, just for the record, that the board was given the entire board was given before this meeting, a letter from Greenbound Row. Because under the statute, they can have objections different from regular planning board application, can submit their objections in writing. And we received the letter December 3rd, 2024 from Greenbound Row on behalf of Meridia Toms River 40 Urban Renewal LLC, which is distributed
On behalf of,
Meridia Toms River 40 Urban Renewal LLC, sorry, I speak fast. But that, I just wanted to make sure that was in the record, that they understand that it was distributed to the board prior to this meeting.
All right, you got to move up the resolution
For this,
for the ordinance?
they have to make a recommendation to the council. And the best practices is resolution.
Okay.
Okay. We'll move on to the applications.